Hey, what's going on? My name is Harrison, and this is going to be an Unreal Engine 4 C++ tutorial on how to open up doors. So we're going to be making a swing door. Let's go ahead and look at the final product right now. Right now I have 3 doors right here. Let's go ahead and open it, run behind it, and now let's close it. We can also toggle it, open, close, open that thing up, close it, run to this one, get through that one, close it. So we're opening the door from any side that we're on, or depending on the side, if we're in front or behind the door, we can also toggle it while opening it. And yeah, so hopefully it's going to be a fun tutorial. This one might be pretty long, so let's go ahead and get started. The code, there should be a GitHub link down in the description below, so you might not have to watch the video. You can just grab the code and move along. But if not, let me go ahead and delete this code from my current game, and let's recreate it in C++. Okay, so I just cleaned up my code. Let's go ahead and recreate this swing door. First thing, let's go ahead and create the actor of a swing door. So right click, new C++ class, actor, and I'm going to call it swing door. Alright, the engine just created the .h and .cpp files for us. And right now I'm in the .h file for swing door, so let's go ahead and set up our variables. So what do we want? We want the open and close door functions. U function void close door. And this is going to take in the float dt, that's going to be delta time, and we'll pass that on through the tick function. Okay, so that's closed door and open door. We want the static mesh, of course, for the door itself. So we'll do class use static mesh component. Door. Just call it door. What do we need next? We want the box component, so when we overlap it, we know when to trigger the event. That's going to be a U property. Oh, it's going to be visible anywhere. Visible anywhere, and then we'll just put into a category of box comps. Let's just call it components. No, a category. Let's call it yeah, box comps. I get that out of the way. Next, so class U box component. And I'm going to call it box comp. Next, we want to toggle the door. This toggle function will just kind of toggle the bools on whether or not we want to open or close it. And this toggle door function is going to take in an F vector. And it's going to be the forward vector that we're going to pass on through the character. We're going to get the forward vector from the camera, from the first person character. So we'll pass that in, and then that'll determine on, and then using that variable will determine on if we're facing the door or behind the door, or in front or behind the door. Now let me just declare my bools. Is the door opening? Is the door closing? Is the door closed? Now let's set up some floats that will help us to determine some factors in the CPP file. Float.p, that will be the dot product. Again, that will determine if we're in front or behind the door. Float max degree, that will determine if it should be open 90 degrees or negative 90 degrees, or whatever kind of degree variable you want to set. Float add rotation, float pause neg, just determining on kind of if a number should be positive or negative depending on where we're facing, and then float door current rotation. And from that, we'll get the yaw from the door. All right, So that's it for the header file. Let's jump into the CPP file and get cracking on it. The first thing we want to do is include our header file so we can work with what we want to work with. Work with our necessary components. First things first, we're going to get the constructor helpers so we can grab in the door itself right from, so we can set the default value for the mesh. Constructor helpers, yeah. Next, include draw debug helpers just to visualize the box component. It's helpful. Include Kismet gameplay statics. .h, and then finally include the box component. .h. Now let's go into our constructor function and set our default values. Box comp. Box comp is going to be a uStatic, not uStatic, but a uBox component. Create create default subobject. That's going to be a uBox component. Set up some text. Just call it box comp. Semicolon. And what are we going to do with the box comp? Arrow operator. Let's init its size. So init box extent. And these are some numbers that I liked working with. You can definitely change them. It's going to be 150 by 100 by 100. Box comp, set the collision. Set collision profile name, and that's going to be trigger. Now let's set it as the root component. We're setting this as the root component and not the door itself, so we can have more control over the door's rotation without affecting when we trigger the event. We could have probably made this as just a, branching off a trigger actor or a trigger volume, but that's how we're doing it. Now set up the door. The door equals create default sub object. It's going to be a uStatic mesh component. Set up the text. Just call it door. Door. Set up attachment. So we're attaching it to the root component. Set up attachment. Yeah, I think that's all right. So next we're gonna immediately pull the door from its file location, and we can, to make a more versatile class, maybe you want to just make this mesh editable anywhere or visible anywhere, so you can drag in, pop in any door you want. But for this one, I want it to just be, as soon as you drag it in, you kind of get the whole component within itself. So maybe that'll be easier for an artist or a designer to just kind of grab the door, play with it, and move on. So static constructor helpers. F object finder. uStatic mesh. That uStatic mesh. We're going to call it door asset, and now we're going to pass in the path. It's going to be game starter content props sm door dot sm door. Okay, so I am using the starter content and the standard first person template provided by the engine. So right now, by grabbing that door, this is the file that's in. It's game slash game slash starter content. Then we go to props, and this is the SM door that we're using. So, all right, let's jump back into the code. I think I forgot the slash right here, the / for game. So I'll probably need that. Now, if we successfully grab it, so we do have to do the error check, because if we don't grab it, or if there's an error, or if that's deleted from our game, then we don't want to create errors. So if door asset succeeded, so 1, if that's true, let's set up its values, or its kind of default values rather. Door arrow operator, set static mesh to the object that we just grabbed, so that'd be door asset dot object. Let me fix that typo up here. I gotta get the capital A for door asset. Door set relative location effector. It's gonna be these are some numbers that I played with earlier. Let's kind of just get it. We want to place the door in the center of the trigger box, as opposed to having its origin point at the center of the trigger box, and its origin point is at the bottom of the mesh. So again, you can play with it on your own, but so if you just set this to 0, 0, 0, you'll kind of see like, oh wait, my door is kind of outside the collision box a little bit. So this is why I'm kind of editing these variables to hopefully make it just inside the box very nicely. I'm just creating these for floats just for the heck of it. And now door set world, door arrow operator, set world scale 3D, capital D, will be an effector, and it'll be 1s all around. So just the standard scale of it. Next, I think just to start off with, let's just set our bools and our floats. So 1, the door is going to start off closed. Everything else will be false. It is not moving, so opening will be false, and closing will be false. The dot product, it'll just be 0. We'll change these when the user presses the button. Max degree, we'll just set that at 0 as well. Positive, negative, we'll just set it at 0. And then the door's current rotation, we'll just set that at 0 as well. We'll get it later. Doesn't matter too much right now. All right, on begin play, let's go ahead and draw our debug box. And since the doors won't move around the game world, I think we'll just do it on begin play, do it once, set it so it doesn't immediately remove itself, and then I think we should be good to go. Draw debug box, get world, get actor location, we want this to be as big as the box component's collision, or the collision box itself, just as big as the box component. We're going to get the scaled box extent. That will return our vector. And we also want it to rotate, because we'll be able to rotate the actor when we drag it in anywhere we want. So the draw debug box will also have to rotate as well. Just not from the, so it'll be attached to this door, or to this box component. It's going to be an F quad get actor rotation. Set up a color for it. Let's have some fun. Let's call it turquoise, or use one of the options that it gives you. Turquoise. That's about right. Set it to true. -1. 0, and what's a good length for it? I think 2 is what I use for it, and it works out pretty well. That's it for the draw debug box. What else do we have? So on tick we'll always be checking if it's opening or closing. It's not expensive to do this. There might be better ways to open a door, of course. I'm sure there might be, but for us, let's just go ahead and do it like this. Again, checking a bool every tick is not very expensive from my understanding. I'm doing 2 if statements rather than if else, just because I want to know if it's opening or closing, not if it's opening then close, or if it's closing then open, yada yada. It's these are going to be 2 separate things that are related but don't one off the other one. Again, there might be a better way to do it. I'm sure there is. I'll try to refactor one later on. If closing, so if it's opening, do the opening door function. If it's closing, do the close door function. And we're going to pass in delta time, and that's from the tick. It's not opening, it's open door. That's the function. All right, let's create our on door function, or open door function. It's going to be a swing door, open door. Let me move up a little bit. Again, we take in that float parameter. Right off the bat, let's get the current rotation from the door. Door current rotation equals door arrow operator relative location relative rotation. In this case, we're only doing the yaw, so let's get the yaw, and it's going to be a float. Add rotation is going to equal postneg times dt times 80. You can change 80 to whatever you want. I think 80 kind of gives it a nice feel, but again, you might want it faster or slower depending on your game. The postneg thing, we'll do that in the toggle function to come later on. So we'll be setting that each time the player pushes the action button. If math : is nearly equal door current rotation max degree 1.5 degrees. So right here where I'm saying if the door's current rotation, if it's within, well, let's just go at 90 degrees. It'll probably be 90 degrees or negative 90 or 0 probably. Or I think it's, for this one, I think it's 90 or negative 90. So if the current door rotation is within negative 90 or 90, and if it's within 1.5 degrees of it, don't do it. Or if those are true, then let's set our bools to false, because we don't want anything else to happen. Forgot that I changed it a little bit. Opening equals false. However, if that is false, that means it's currently rotating at it's at 40 degrees. Then we want it to continue opening until it reaches that 90 degree mark. How do they do it? Okay, they do an else if. Yeah. How do I do it? Don't love the formatting. But if it's opening, then let's open the store. And that's going to be an OFF rotator. It's going to be, let's just call it new rotation. Rotation. And it's going to be an F rotator. We only want to do the yaw, so this is going to be 0. We're going to do the add rotation. We created add rotation up top. And the other one is going to be 0.0f. And now we want to add it to the door. Door add relative rotation. Let's pass in the fquat. The fquat takes a rotator, which we just call new rotation. Let's fill out the rest of the parameters. False, 0, E, teleport type, and it's going to be none. So that's the open door function. Let's go ahead and redo it for the closed door function. There's a couple of differences in the closed door function. Void a swing door, colon, was it colon, closed door, float DT. Let's immediately get the door's current rotation equals door arrow operator relative location or relative rotation if that's greater than 0, I push blank. If it's greater than 0, add rotation is going to equal negative dt, which will be delta time times 80. Else it's going to equal positive, I believe. Add rotation equals dt times 80. So the only difference there is the negative and positive sign. All right. Now let's do our if else statement. If f math is nearly equal door rotation. So if door rotation, door current rotation rather, is almost 0, and that's within 1.5 degrees. Yeah. Then let's close out our bools. We don't want anything to happen. But if that's false, and if we're also trying to close the door, then let's add the rotator to get it back to the closer 0 position. And that's going to be F rotator. New rotation equals F rotator 0.0 F add rotation 0.0 F door add relative rotation. We're going to do our F quad. F quad takes an F rotator. New rotation, false, 0, teleport 9. Teleport type, none. Okay, I think that's the closing door function. Save that. Now let's do our toggle door function. Void a swing door, toggle door. Again, this toggle door will take in a forward vector from the player. Immediately, let's get the dot P, which is the dot product, which will kind of determine if we're in front or behind the door. Dot P equals F vector dot product, and that's of box comp get forward vector, arrow operator get forward vector, and the forward vector parameter. So depending on which way we're facing the door, we'll get a positive or negative number. And with that, we want to set post neg to F math sign. And what that does is that will give us a positive one or negative one depending on if dot P is a positive or negative value. Dot P will probably be something between 0 and 1 or 0 and -1. So depending on that, we'll get a positive 1 or a -1. Or a 0 if it's 0. I think that might be an error that I might have to check out later. But I think like the chances of that happening are like none. Next, degree equals, so right now we're going to use the positive negative number to determine if we want to open or if the door should be opened negative 90 degrees or positive negative 90 degrees on basically which way the door should turn. So if the door is closed, we want to set is closed to false, closing to false, and then opening to true. Because if it's closed, it shouldn't be doing anything like that, and the player just pushed the button to toggle this function. This is going to be the button that they toggle, or the function that they toggle. Actually, I think C++ and Epic like to do their if-else statements like this. Okay. So then else, then we're going to be opening, that will be false. Is closed will be true. That's basically just to toggle the above bool. That's going to equal true. And then closing will also equal true. Okay, awesome. I think that's it for this actor. Let's compile it and see if there's any errors. I don't think there should be errors, but I mean, there definitely could be errors, but I don't think there's going to be errors outside of this actor. All right, the compile failed. Sweet. What's wrong? Just about everything. You got your rotation on the answer crate. All right, swing door 52. Swing door. I did not close that. All right, let's narrow this list down a little bit. I don't think I did that right. Oh, I think that's what I'm doing wrong. I'm putting in a variable. It's got to be a return. So put the parentheses after that. Now let's narrow down the list a little bit. Did I save it? I think I saved it. Yeah. There's not a parenthesis after that? I think there is. Oh, it's an extra one? Yeah, it's an extra one. Got confused. Gosh, I got a ton of these. 86. F rotator, new rotation equals oh, this is dot. Oh my god, 102. What else? Oh god. No, semicolon. Get that in there. Holy. If math is nearly equal, two overloads have similar conversions. 104. F math is nearly equal. Door current rotation. Oh, there's no F after this. Swing door CBP index before. That's 113. I got errors like crazy. God damn. No, semicolon. Compile. I think this might be the last one. F math illegal use of operation. 120. Oh, colon colon, not just one colon. Alright, swing door is complete, I think. Don't worry, I probably screwed up something else somewhere later. Alright, what's next? So let's go ahead and input our action button. File, no, edit, project settings. Go down to input under engine. Oh, I already have it here. Let's just delete it. So we want an action button. I'm going to click add action mapping. I'm going to call it action. And we're going to bind it, or I'm going to bind it to the E key. So under keyboard, I'm going to find E. There we go. And that's that. It'll save automatically. Let's get out of it. Yeah, now let's jump into the character files. So go back into your editor. I'm going to close out the swing doors. I'm going to go into my character.h file. Mine is called cpptut character.h. Or it's going to be called something else, character.h. Alright, so what the hell are we doing here? Oh, goodness. So the first thing we want to do is we just created that swing door and we're going to use it in this file. So let's go ahead and include it so we can reference it. Or reference the class itself. So it will be swing door.h. That was simple. Or whatever path you have your swing door header file in. So now let's scroll down a little bit down here. Let's add in a trigger capsule. I do like creating separate trigger capsules for trigger events. So it'll be uProperty, visible anywhere. Just put in another category called trigger capsule. That's good. It'll be a class uCapsule component pointer trigger capsule. That's good there. What are we doing next? Let's go down to the bottom of this public area and set up our on overlap, begin and end functions, and let's create our swing door. So first, let's just do our class a swing door pointer, just call it door, or call it current door. Now let's set up our overlap functions. I'm just going to do u function. And I'm going to grab these functions from the documentation. The links will be down in the description below. But there's a lot going on. Oh, I'm going to hip hop DX. On begin overlap. Yeah, this is on begin overlap. Let's go grab our on overlap begin function. Put a void before it and a semicolon afterwards. We're going to do the same thing with the other one on end. Function void on overlap end. They're both different. Add a semicolon. And then under the on fire method right here, let's just do void on action. And that's that for the header file. We're getting closer. Now let's jump into the .cpp file for your character, and let's set up the default values, and let's get rocking and rolling. I think the first thing we're going to do is set up our trigger capsule. Do we have to include anything? I think we're good. Let's jump immediately into our trigger capsule. It'll be trigger capsule. And we're going to arrow operator. No, not arrow. It's going to equal create default sub object. Create default sub object. I don't have. Don't have my autocomplete going, but damn it. Then we'll wing it. We'll do it live. Capsule component text. I'm just gonna call it trigger capsule. Good to go. Trigger capsule arrow operator. Let's init the cap size. I'm going to do the same capsule size as the root one, which is up above. Capsule size. It's going to be 50/50 or 55 rather by 96. That's the initial size. What's next? Trigger capsule. Arrow operator, set the collision profile name to trigger. We gotta put the text in there. Semicolon, and now let's attach it to the root component. Set up attachment root component. Now let's connect it to our functions. Trigger capsule arrow operator on component begin overlap. Oh god. This we're referencing this component, and we're gonna then reference the functions, right? So my function is going to be referencing what did I call this? It's a CPP tuts, right? A CPP tuts. Yours will probably be called something different. Character dot on overlap begin. Semicolon. Now let's do the same thing for end. Trigger capsule on component end overlap. Add dynamic dot end overlap. Add dynamic. This reference a CPP tuts character on end overlap, or on overlap end. On overlap end. And now our current door, we're going to set it to null. So it's going to start off as null, and then we'll set it depending on where we overlap. Let me find out the next function to do. Scroll down. We're going to jump into our setup player input component function. And let's just copy this one for fire. And ours is going to be action. So bind action, we're going to bind it to the action button that we created in the editor, and it's going to trigger on press, and it's going to do the on action function. I think I kept it pretty simple. And we'll create the on action function later. So that's what we will do next. Void, what do you call it? Let me just get this guy. Void a CPP tuts character : on action. Do I have? I want to check to see if it's all capitalized. On action. Okay. And then in my bind, the O is also capitalized. It should be. Okay, everything's capitalized. Sounds good. Let's move forward. On action. So if current door is true. So if current door is not null, let's do the following. And again, we'll set the current door in our next function when we do the on overlap begin function. Okay, so if current door is true, let's pass in, let's get the forward vector of the camera. F vector forward vector equals first person camera component get forward vector end it. Now let's pass it current door, because we set that in our overlap function that we'll create next. And we're gonna run the toggle door function. That's gonna trigger the bools, and that's gonna trigger and the tick function is listening to those bools to see what's true and what's false, and then it'll run that function to open and add the rotating degree to the door until it hits 90 degrees or 0 degrees. Forward vector. All right. Gosh, there's gonna be so many typos. Oh, dude, I'm gonna die. Overlap on begin. Our next one's on overlap begin function. Okay, void a cpp touch character on overlap begin. Let me grab the parameters from the header file. I just want to have to redo all of those. Grab those, copy paste them. Let's do our checks. If other actor does not equal null pointer, and if other actor does not equal itself, this, and if other comp does not equal null pointer. Oh, we have one more, and we have the most important one. And if the other actor is a swing door class. Other actor get class arrow operator is child of swing door. A swing door current class, static class. And so if all those resulted true, then we set our current door. We cast the object of swing door. Swing door to the other actor. Awesome. Now let's do the same thing for let's do the opposite thing for our exit function, our end overlap. Void a cpp touch character on overlap end. Let me copy and paste the values, or I mean the parameters. Paste those in. I'm just gonna copy and paste this and probably just work backwards. Other actor, after this, other comp. We don't need this fourth check. Now we're gonna set current door to null because we are no longer overlapping. All right, let's compile it and see what happens. All right, we got errors. True capsule undefined identifier. Alright, I got a typo there. That should fix a couple of them. Let's recompile. Let's narrow it down. I did it twice. Did I seriously do it twice? Oh my god. Alright, that should narrow the list down a little bit. Setup attachment is not a member of the capsule component. Let's see what I did wrong. Setup attach. I think I always spell that wrong. There's no E there. Alright. 317. We got some problems there. Other actor does not equal null pointer, and other actor does not equal this, and other comp does not equal that. It's not just other. There's no parameter called other. I believe it's other actor. Let's recompile. Alright, that looks good. Let's see if it works. Swing door. Drag it in. We already have the door attached. Move it up. Oh man, let's see if this works. Push play. Push E. It opens. It closes. We can toggle it. And I gotta say, that's a gosh darn success. So, oh, one more thing right now, or let's just finish up. So, let's just copy it as well. So, I'm gonna hold down Alt and move it. Then I'm gonna hold down E to rotate it. And you'll see that it should still work. So, it's opening correctly. Go through it. And if you're unfamiliar, the door automatically doesn't come with a collision component. So in starter content, under props, double click door. You're going to want to click the door. You're going to want to go collision, add a box simplified collision to it, and you'll get this box, this collision component around the door, so you don't just walk through the door. There's a blocking component there. So right now I have two there because I already had the darker green one here. I had that one, but let me just delete the bigger one, and yeah, you can just rescale it the same way you kind of move things around in the game world. So that will help you from just flying through the door. I think that's it. Gosh darn it, we created a door. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you